Hey, hello, everybody, and welcome in. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Wednesday. I got to double check. I'm so awful this week. Anytime you have a short week, I get off. But I had that one. Didn't forget. Hey, and before I do forget, though, the Idaho game this week. Indiana taking on Idaho at home opener. 7:30 kickoff under the lights. We've got 4 tickets to give away to some lucky listeners. So start getting prepared for that. Trying to think of, it's going to be a question, and it will come from the show. So if you're watching the show during the week, we'll just ask that on Friday, and I can have the tickets sent to you digitally. So that works out great. But we're going to be giving away 4 tickets. So make sure you're paying attention to the show this week if you can go and would like to go. You should. It's going to be a fantastic night. The weather's going to be great. Football is back. College football. So your opportunity to go. Ross says hello and good morning. 66 degrees where he is. Yeah. That's a chilly morning. But not a bad one. Hope it's a great where you are. The sunshine is out there just shining away. So it looks like it's a great day outside, at least where I am. So happy about that. Hope your day is going on. Looking forward to talking to, let's see, today we've got Kyle Neddenriep joining us, Bob Kravitz, and we'll see what else we can get scared up along the way as well. So I hope everything is going well for you. What is new with you guys, John? I think we have some clips from yesterday, or still that we have not played yet, right?
Let me take a look real quick.
We'll get to those as you're checking on that. But Indiana offers another in a basketball side in the 2023 class, top 5 prospect Kwame Evans Jr. Indiana extended an offer to the prospect on Tuesday night, so that happened just last night. He plays for Montverde Academy. Have you heard of them? That's right. Sometimes Jalen Hood-Schifino reaching out probably. So that should go well. And that's what happens. Once you start getting those guys on your team and they have a good experience, they start spreading the word. And when it's a place like Montverde Academy, IMG, anything like that, that is nothing but a good thing. This kid's ranked number 4 in the Rivals 150 class of 2023. Number 4. He's up there. He currently has offers from Texas, Illinois, LSU, Maryland, Kansas, Auburn, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, among others. You can catch all of that story in the Hoosier.com. Alec Lasley's got that up right now. So another offer for the Indiana basketball program. Let's see. You can also catch This Week in Indiana, the football podcast. There's an Iowa recap, Idaho preview. John and Dustin Schutte from Saturday Tradition, and producer John. That is up on the Hoosier.com as well. You can catch that as well as get caught up on all the other latest news. Indiana offered finish guard Mirolito last week. I guess is how you say his name. So the offers are flying out, man. They're continuing to scour the recruiting boards, and you haven't heard a lot because they're just out recruiting now into practice time. But they're just out getting with it and staying busy, and that is reaping success. It seems to me the recruiting is flying at a pretty high level, and that's the difference maker. Now Indiana's got to start winning on the football side of things. Or that's going to put a little damper on that because their recruiting is really went over the top during this little climb that they've been under. But Can't let the momentum stop. Losing is not something that's just going to happen. But man, it's how you lose. It's how you appear. That was the thing with basketball last year. It wasn't the games that they lost. It was how they lost those games. So as far as Tom Allen going anywhere, reading this out of the Star, I use Tom Allen as the 18th best Division I football contract in the nation from a coach's perspective. Well, that's not bad. To say that an Indiana football coach is in the top 20, that has never happened. But among the most lucrative benefits in his 7-year contract, which is a $27 million deal, signed in December 2019, it got a $1 million signing bonus, a free car, unlimited family use of the IU golf course. The average salary is only $500,000 and a $10,000 annual Adidas allowance. From a coach's perspective, that makes it the 18th best in college football. Not bad. Of course, that's not Dabo Swinney like. Dabo's making $9 million a year. Saban behind him at 8, something like that. That's the big daddy land up there. But it's good to see. That will keep. It keeps continuity, man. That keeps continuity. The 2021 NFL football season began, and some of Indiana's high school players. You got 2 NFL rookies. You got Indy star, Mr. Football. Looking forward. We need to ask Kyle Neddenriep about this. This is probably something. This is actually from Scott Horner. But James Bates III with the Bengals. He's from Fort Wayne Snyder. Dustin can't be with us today, unfortunately. But if he was, we would be talking about this kid. He's playing for the Bengals right now. Then you've got Jeremy Chin with the Panthers. He's from Fishers. Brandon Dillon with the Vikings tight end. He's from Fort Wayne Carroll. Another Fort Wayne player. The Colts tight end, Jack Doyle, is from Cathedral. Of course, he's not with the Colts. He's in his nice season. Chris Evans, running back for the Bengals, from Ben Davis. Kicker Sam Ficken with the Titans, from Valpo. The Cowboys, Randy Gregory, defensive end, Hamilton Southeastern. Wow. Pretty good, huh? How's everything going with you guys? What's new? What's happening? Let's see, I can see the comments. Forrest, oh, that's right. Forrest is up in Bloomington from Georgia. Ross says that Kenya Hunter played with Evans' dad. Another Kenya connection. Dave's down in Jacksonville, 78, getting up to 88 today. Still humid, I'm sure. Sean hit us there. The place was electric. It was difficult to sit after half amongst the Iowa fans. The fans quit talking trash. They began consoling IU fans. They felt bad. We made this trip. Yeah. Talking about the Iowa game. Well, hopefully they can put that one behind them as the Vandals come in this weekend. Idaho Vandals and Paul Petrino, Bobby Petrino's brother, the coach of the Vandals. Bobby Petrino, of course, the former coach at Louisville and the Atlanta in the NFL and back to Louisville. And then he just quit on that team and just left them in a lurch. But Paul Petrino has been at Idaho for, I think, 7 years now. He's been out there. So looking forward to that. They won like 68-0 last week, but they played, a lower division team. But Indiana has got to get off the schneid this week. They've got a week to get. The defense is nothing that I am truly concerned about. That is just some things that need to be cleaned up. Offensively, I've got concerns. Concerns with Michael Penix, to be honest with you. His apprehension was palpable in that game. And it scares you a little bit going forward because I get it. I understand. But Tom Allen, there's a potential of having a decision to have to make here soon. I think he should have made that decision at halftime last week just for that game. But there could be some issues coming up. Ed says, make sure you check the home uniforms. Spelling Indiana right. Yeah. It's not like that hadn't happened before, but man, they're going to get hammered on that for a minute. No doubt. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how you look at that and just don't see that. But that's how that was a perfect analogy for that day and how that started and how it ended. But hey, we got a lot more coming up. Cal Neddenriep, Bob Kravitz is going to join us. We'll see what else we can scare up around here. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Brought to you by the great folks at Andy Moore Honda Bloomington. Make sure you get your Honda. Go to andymoorehonda.com. You can get your Honda ordered. It will be waiting for you. 812-432-1892. andymoorehonda.com. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios after this.
All right, got a 3-minute timer going. You can still hear me, correct? All right, because this thing's acting really weird this morning, and I wish I would have done something about it sooner. And Kyle is good to join us, so he should be joining here shortly. And whenever the timer's up, I'll just let you know and come back in as if there was music, because you ain't gonna be able to do that either.
Can you give me a countdown?
Yeah, of course, I can do that. 'And I don't know if you saw my text, but I brought if you need to reference another clip, I did take something from Ryder Anderson in case you need to wait for Kyle. I'm not sure if he'll show up right when we start, but because he can sometimes come in a minute or two after we get going. "30 seconds. I'll count you down from 5.
Do we have a guest, Kyle?
We have Kyle, but he's He may show up a few minutes late. I'll give him a text once we get going here. But like I said a second ago, if you need to start off with a clip, I have one from Ryder Anderson.
No, we'll save it.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, here on this Wednesday, hump day. We've made it along, waiting for Kyle Neddenriep to join us from the Indy Star as we're into, I think, week 4 of high school football. So we'll check in to see what happened last week. Coming up this week, I know that Bloomington North and Bloomington South will collide, of course, in Bloomington. And not only that, the College Football Host Committee, of course, in Indianapolis, is making trips around to various games to promote the college football championship that's taking place in Indianapolis. And I'm trying to find the email I have, but they're going to be at the Bloomington North-South game this weekend, Friday night. So I'm trying to pull that up to see what all they would have out there. But there we go. In conjunction with the 2022 College Football Playoff National Championship coming to Indianapolis on July 10th of 2022, the Indianapolis Host Committee is bringing its inaugural Indiana Tailgate Tour to Bloomington North-South game at Bloomington South. I think that's at South this week, right? Yeah, at Bloomington South. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to head out there for that. During halftime, the Indianapolis Host Committee will award a $1,000 grant to those participating schools, $500 each way, to aid in teacher and classroom development. An additional $500 will be donated to each school's athletic department in total. So that's a pretty cool deal. If you can get out to that, head out there. As Kyle joins us now, I was just talking about the College Football Host Committee is doing their tailgate tour, Kyle, and they're at the Bloomington North-South game this week. But they're going to be all over doing that, which is kind of a cool thing to have in the state. It's kind of a unique thing to get to participate in. Not sure that Kyle can hear us, but we'll wait for him to jump on. But yeah, so any information for that, we'll get that up on the site. If you're interested in going to that, or just go to the game. But they also have a tour around the state of games that they're going to. And it is a lot of games. Let's see. I can actually pull that up as well. But I like a ton of games. It's already began. This is like the third week. They're going to have a whole host of things that are going on around this. The playlist live. You're going to have rock bands and all kinds of things. It's going to be a fun deal, even though it's going to be in January, unfortunately, in Indianapolis. So they're going to have a lot of things inside. But looking forward to that. Head out to if you're in the Bloomington area, head out to the South-North game, North-South game this week, and participate in the 2022 Host Committee tour. Speaking of tour, tonight, baby, Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium. That's where I'm going to be. Guns N' Roses. What? Oh, yeah. I can't wait. Haven't been to a concert in a minute. And cannot lie. I'm looking forward to it. Hit some questions over here that I have missed. See, did I say Jack? Man, yeah, you already said that one. Let's see, I had that one. Let's check that one. Sean asked, can we still consider IU 0-0? Can you charge the loss to Indiana? Unfortunately not. Indiana's going to take that one. The last time IU had a great offensive line play was under Greg Fry as coaching. It has underperformed for at least the past 3 or 4 years. Well, that is one of the areas where Indiana has lacked recruiting wise forever. But if you go back and look at the NFL players that have come from Indiana, I think that more often than not, it's probably an offensive lineman. But it's not producing a lot. So yeah, they've got to get better on everywhere. It wasn't just the line. I don't know that the line wasn't horrible. They made some mistakes, but that wasn't seeing the issue. Hey, Cal, how you doing, man?
Hey, sorry about that. I don't know what the issue was there.
Man, we're just having all kinds of things going today. It's no big deal. Earlier, I was talking about the 2022 College Football Host Committee here in India or up in Indianapolis have a tour going around. They're going to different games, and they're going to be in Bloomington this week. I got the chance to talk to their president back during Big Ten Media Days, but looking forward to going out to that and how they're implementing that into the high schools. It's kind of a neat deal.
Yeah, definitely. That's a cool idea. And anything you can do to, I think, cross-pollinate the college experience with the high school experience is obviously that's a good thing to do. So I saw that. I don't know much about it, but I think it's a cool idea.
Well, this week, not a lot of change in the poll because Center Grove took care of business as you thought that they would last week. That was the biggest game around, and nothing surprising seemed to come out of that game for you, I'd say.
No, not really, other than the fact it was 10-7 at halftime, and Center Grove kind of, you felt like they were in control of the game at that point. But I thought Carmel did a nice job of making it somewhat of a slugfest in the first half, and they were missing their starting quarterback. And actually the Zach Osborne, who's a really good, he's going to Colgate, really good dual threat quarterback. So he was out of the game, unable to play, was in a boot. And he's hopefully going to be back this week. They play Pike, but could be another week or so. He's got a little bit of some knee, not anything major, but they started the kid who ended the week before, and then they brought in a new quarterback, Leighton Lukowski, at the start of the second quarter, and they got some good things going and kind of were able to move the ball a little bit on Center Grove. Finally, they didn't get a first down until midway through the second quarter, but as you watch that game, you just as the game wore on in the second half, it was just way too much. Caden Curry in the backfield, I think he had 4.5 tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Their whole defensive line and offensive line is just so good that they just kind of wear you down. And eventually they start breaking some longer runs. And, Daniel Weems, I think, had, 28 carries for 140 or roughly in that area. And then Drew Weed had 200 yards rushing. So, eventually the dam kind of broke against Carmel, and they, Center Grove flexed its muscle and took control of that game. It took maybe a little bit longer than expected, but yeah, 41-14. If all you did was look at the final score, you kind of be like, yeah, that looks about right. But if this really is 1 versus 2, then you see the gap between 1 versus 2. It's and I don't know that it is 1 versus 2, and I don't if Carmel has their starting quarterback in, surely that makes somewhat of a difference. But Zach Osborne's not Peyton Manning. I mean, he's a good high school player, but I don't know that he's going to change the game by 27 points. So, it's I think at this point, I know we've talked about it before. Anytime Center Grove would lose would feel like a surprise. But you kind of see that week 9 game, that Cathedral game lurking out there on the schedule, and it makes you wonder what that game will look like. It was such a good game last year. It was 17-13, and it was really the only challenge Center Grove had, other than Lawrence North was ahead of them at halftime. But, that was kind of the big test for them. And in the 6A tournament, they didn't really get challenged that much. So, that's the game I think, if you kind of creep forward on the schedule. And there's some other, even Ben Davis this week has been playing really good offense. Can they, spring some big plays on Center Grove? Possibly, but I don't know that anybody's going to be able to stop them and be able to put up enough points to beat them. So that's the challenge. I don't, after watching them in the preseason, I thought, man, they might be better than last year. There's nothing that's told me that they're not better than last year based off what I've seen so far.
Yeah, that's scary to think that. Thinking about a team that has nothing to do with it, the breakaway. Columbus East is a team that has dominated the Hoosier Hills Conference for so long. I saw that there a couple weeks ago they got crushed. I didn't see last week's score. Are they down this year?
Yeah, they appear to be, and of course, Bob Gaddis, their longtime coach, retired. So that's they're kind of changing over a little bit as far as their coaching staff, but they're always good. They did drop back down finally in class size to where they're supposed to be to 5A, so that should help them some this year. But yeah, I think based off what I've seen so far, I haven't seen them in person, obviously, but just watching what they've done so far, they appear to be a little bit down from what they normally are, which is unusual.
Yeah, because let me tell you, this run has gone on for decades, man. It's like the factories that they have over there that they're just coming out of that. What's coming up this week that you're looking forward to?
Well, I would say I've got a story I hopefully will come out here in the next day or two that's totally unrelated to football. It's more a basketball story. I can't give too much away about that, but I've been working on that the last few days, and then as far as football goes this week, I think up here, Fishers and HSE, which is the Mudsock, they call it the Mudsock rivalry game. Both those teams are 3-0, and that's kind of a surprise. Those teams have been a little bit down. Both of them have second-year coaches. Over the years, it's been a really fun, a lot of wild games, and I've covered a few of them over the years. And normally that crowd for HSE Fishers is about as big as any crowd you'll see anywhere. I mean, it's blue and red on both sides, and it's a big rivalry. And maybe if you're not from Fishers or from around that area, you don't really realize how big of a rivalry it is. But that's where I'll be this week. That should be a really fun game, especially with both teams being 3-0. Just kind of adds to the environment and everything of that game. And then also working on a story too tomorrow on the 20-year anniversary of 9/11. And from a high school sports perspective, I that was kind of about the time I'd first started my job and my career. I was working part-time as in Springfield, Missouri, as covering high school, and also I was landscaping. And when 9/11 happened, I was actually landscaping. I was at a house. We listened to it on the radio as the guy that I worked for. We kind of opened up the truck door and listened as things were happening on the radio, and then went and watched. Found a TV in town there to watch what was going on, but. I remember that Friday, that week, leading up to Friday night, most stuff was canceled that week. The NFL, the Major League Baseball was not happening. The pro college sports were pushed back till next week for the most part. I think there was some small college football, but the first thing to come back was high school football, that Friday night. And I remember covering a game that week, that Friday, Springfield Catholic and I can't remember who they played, but talking to the coach after the game, and he was in tears, talking about what it meant to kind of get back to something that felt normal. And there was so much pageantry of patriotism, and everybody felt like they were together, united, which is so different than now, where we are as a country right now. It's just polar opposite. I kind of looking back, talking to people around here about that experience that week and high school sports playing a part in coming back to normal, some sense of normalcy. And there's a lot of emotions, obviously, that week. And it was only 3 days removed from, when the attacks happened. So it was all very fresh. I just thinking back, a few weeks ago, I was like, man, that night, I don't remember any details of the game. I remember covering the game, but I do remember that conversation with the coach, and his name was Bobby Cornelison. I covered a lot of his games over the years. Never seen him like that, never seen him in tears like that. And that always sticks with me. That September would have been 14th, 3 days after 9/11 happened. So working on a story on that, just kind of remembering the role high school sports played after the attacks.
Yeah, that was a very emotional time. Sports were something that it's like, it was the question, should we, shouldn't we? It was a thing that was actually needed to help heal things. It's kind of like comedy on TV. It's like, do you do comedy? How do you do comedy? How do you laugh? How do you make people laugh after something like that? How do you go out and play a sport? Something that's trivial. But those are the things that we need in everyday life that keeps us together and keeps us grounded. So they were so important. Sports was so important of being a healing factor back then.
It was. I mean, I think everybody struggled with, and high school sports was kind of like, well, yeah, we do need to play on Friday night. And for the most part, I think that's, and some teams I remember played on, maybe they did something at their school on Friday night, and then played on Saturday. I know I remember that being the case in some places where they maybe had a get together on Friday night and then as a community and then played the game on Saturday. But, I think for the most part, I would have to go back and look. I remember, most of the college games were pushed back till the next weekend. There was even some weeknight games that following week. And I think Major League Baseball was completely off until the following week. NFL was pushed back. So, really high school sports was the first thing, to resume. And I think that was kind of fitting because what's more community than high school sports? I mean, there's nothing more, maybe doesn't get the headlines of the Yankees game or, Bush throwing out the pitch at the Yankees game and stuff like that, which was also very emotional. But you had these little pockets of community all over the country that were getting together again for the very first time right after that. And, I always think of, that time in my life, I was early, I don't even 23 at the time. And you're just in a different place as a human. You almost think of, your life before 9/11 and after. And now I think probably your life before the pandemic and after, there's these markations in your life where things change so drastically. And that was for certain for many of us, that was the biggest one, was 9/11 at that time. And, now this pandemic's a little bit different because it's lasting, as long as it is. But those are probably the two biggest, markations in our life that there's pre and post. And the freshness of that post from 9/11 was that week. And there's things that happened to you during that week that, seem so fresh even now. It's easy to remember that week.
Yeah, it is. And it's just weird how that is still such a benchmark. Or I shouldn't say weird. It's still a benchmark. It was such an emotional, tumultuous time that even though this pandemic is different, it's longer lasting, it's over time, that happened so fast. And it was such a shock where this has not been, it's been shocking, coronavirus, but it's been a longer extended period of time. So I think when your system is shocked like it was with 9/11, it has a tendency to just last forever. It's made its mark.
Yeah. And I'm always, these days like today where there's something about September, early September mornings that, where there's this huge bright blue skies. And that always triggers the memory for me of like, man, there's something about, that September blue sky that's different than any other time of year. And it always, brings back that memory. And in the aftermath, when the second plane hit and it's like, oh, there's the sinking feeling that, this isn't, because leading up to that, you didn't know, there's still talk that it was a Cessna plane or, an accident. And then the second one hit and you're like, oh man, this is catastrophic. And then, it's just like one gut punch after another. The tower falls, the second tower, it's just such a travesty, tragedy that, that day became. And, but it always does, the bright blue sky on a September morning is the cloudless sky always brings you back to that, or at least for me, that's kind of the one, it always makes you think of that morning, that day.
Yeah, I'll play. Looking forward to it. You've got a lot of stuff coming out, man. As always, make sure you give Kyle Neddenriep a follow at the Indy Star and be a subscriber if you're not. I am. Kyle, I cannot thank you enough, man. What's your game that you're covering this week?
I'll be at that Mudsock game, the Fishers HSC game Friday night. Both teams 3-0.
Where does that name come from?
Yeah, I should know that. I forget now what. But
Mud
all the
sock.
rivalry
That's
games,
such a unique mud sock.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
What, do they used
I
to
know
play
that
a game in their socks or something?
I don't think so. I'd have to go back, and I know this is one of those things that's in the recesses of my brain that I think's been kicked out at some point. So I'll have to go back and but yeah, all the rivalry games are called that. So it's kind of a unique, easy to remember game.
But yeah, both teams, like you started to say, 3-0. Before I interrupted you, but this should be a good game. Although seems like they're playing for nothing because this is Center Grove, but still should be a fantastic contest.
Well, the one thing to think about is both those teams are on the north side of the bracket, and they're in with Westfield, which Westfield made the championship game last year and probably is the favorite to do it again. So for me, the biggest thing to see is, like, can either of these teams, are they capable of beating Westfield? And if they are, then we could see one of them playing for the state championship, because coming from the north side in 6A is so different than the south side with Carmel, Center Grove, Brownsburg, Avon, all those teams that have to beat each other up. You're coming from the north side where you don't have to get through all those teams. So, to me, that whoever wins this game maybe becomes like they're the second team to watch on the north side of that bracket behind Westfield, maybe can beat Westfield. We'll see. Both of them play Westfield this season during the season too. So I think that'll be one of the storylines that comes out of whoever wins that game.
Looking forward to it, man. Make sure you give him a follow, Kyle. I can't thank you enough. Busiest man in sports.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. There's Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star joining us on Indiana Sports Beat. We got Bob Kravitz coming up and plenty more to get to. Brought to you by Sam's Family of Restaurants. Make sure you get out and check out Sam's in the Indianapolis area. Also down at the golf club at the Eagle Point Clubhouse. They're all over the place. They've got the Big Lug Cantina up there in the Indy area as well. So check out Sam's. They're all over the place. Hey, we've got more coming up. Back with it on Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
3 minutes.
Myself, more for my team. So I always felt like there's more we could do. There's more I could do, even if there wasn't more that we could do. You know what I mean? It's just kind of the dog in me.
Not a day I'm looking forward to.
What, the 20th anniversary of 9/11?
No, today.
Oh. Why's that? Well, she had a concert. Don't you have your Guns N' Roses?
Yeah. I got so much to do.
What's your favorite Guns N' Roses song? By the way, I did reach out to Rick. I haven't heard from him yet, but I told him he could do 9:40, which is obviously not happening because that's right now. And he hasn't gotten back to me, or anytime after 10:20 or at 10:20. So we'll see if he gets back to me or not. Well, if not, we'll make it work. One minute. Hey, so while I have a couple seconds, I know he was talking about 9/11.
Yep.
What was his connection? Because I'm trying to make it on the thumbnail.
It's a 20-year anniversary.
Well, I know that, but was he talking about a specific story? Like he knew somebody or like a player?
No, I think it was just the effect on football, sports on 9/11.
Okay, that works too then. All right, 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Wednesday. Hump Day, man. We've made it through halfway quick. We only had one day to get there this week, short week. Always love a short week. Wish we had a short week every week. That would be great. Got a few comments to get to. Haven't on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Sean asked a real question. Is IU better with a bruising north-south running back instead of an east-west running back? The line issues make the east-west backs susceptible for more runs for loss, thus more inefficient. I don't think that Stephen Carr is an east-west running back. I mean, he was trying to get downfield. His first 5 carries of the Iowa game, he had 25 yards. He was averaging 5 yards a carry. Well, he had 19 carries for the game, so that means the next 14 carries, he only managed to get about 27 more yards on those extra 14 carries. So he went from averaging 5 yards a carry to about 2.5. Probably an adjustment somewhat on Iowa's side. Also probably just poor plays on poor calls on Indiana's side. Nick Sheridan took a lot of blame for that. Man, Michael Penix was just not ready. He's not ready for that. And I don't know if you could have predicted that or not, but Iowa didn't seem to be doing anything special other than just playing really, really solid football. Forrest says, Coach Tom Allen can be too loyal at times. Penix Saturday had a huge mistake, was promoting Sheridan to OC. Got to make tough decisions at times as a leader. I'll be honest with you. You can go back and watch the show a couple of years ago, and I like Nick Sheridan, but when they hired him, I said that I felt that was a mistake because at that moment, Indiana was riding high. The Indiana offensive coordinator position was red hot. Kalen DeBoer came in, showed, boom, on the heels of Mike DeBoering before him, who Nick Sheridan's a protege of. And then, boom, he's off to Fresno State looking good. You could have had the pick, pretty much your pick of offensive coordinators. Guys that weren't going to be around long, a couple years, but that's okay. That's what you need to deal with and understand. Unless you get someone who just doesn't want to go anywhere and become a head coach, that luxury doesn't usually happen to a lot of guys. Most people want to continue to rise up, like Kalen DeBoer. But I think that Indiana should have taken that opportunity. That Indiana is never red hot. So it was at that moment, and they could have used that to bring in a high octane offensive coordinator, and they chose not to. So I didn't agree with it, but it is what it is. You got to go move forward with that. Oh yeah, Jesse. Oh yeah, man. Can't wait. Guns N' Roses in Indianapolis. I'll be there. Who's coming to the football game this week? And don't forget, we've got 4 tickets we're going to be giving away. So whether you're listening live or not, we're going to do it in a way that you don't have to be listening live, but you need to be listening to the show because the question is going to come from the show, and it's going to be whoever answers it first. So those who watch, you're better off. That's all I'm going to say. Sean said the offense had zero flash. The lack of a deep ball was also noticeable. Last year, Freifogel led the nation in contested receptions over 20 yards. Need to stretch the field. Yeah, see, that's the issue. You're going back to a problem that you had when Peyton Ramsey was here. Couldn't stretch the field. That's what made him less effective than Michael Penix. But Michael Penix does not have that ability right now. I think he's got to get his sea legs under him again. Hopefully he can do that this week. He has to do that this week. And if he doesn't, Tom Allen has a quandary at quarterback. You have to do what's best for the team. And I can't imagine. Man, I would have lost everything I own if you'd have said, hey, you want to bet that the second game in, you're talking about a potential quarterback controversy because Penix just can't get the job done. I would not have believed that, but that is a real potential. But he also started slow last year. He's coming back from injury off of a COVID year. Hopefully it doesn't. It could take a game or two. It may take a game or two for all those guys to get in sync. That'll suck because you've got a Cincinnati team that's probably going to be ready. Iowa was ready. They were fundamentally sound. The mistakes Indiana made, that was very disappointing. Very disappointing. Because it was made by experienced guys. They got to get rid of that now. Right now. They look sloppy. They looked sloppy and surprising knowing that you had to go to Iowa. Yeah, a little surprise on that. Tim says you should have started Tuttle in the second half. Alabama would have. Well, who cares? We can't go on what Alabama does or doesn't do. Alabama has 6 5-star quarterbacks. Dwayne says he'll be at the game. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to know if anybody's coming. We're going to try to have a tailgate set up. We'll get to all that later, but let me know who's coming up. Who's coming to the game? The Cincinnati game, I believe, is sold out. Looking forward to that. I'm wondering what the crowd is going to be like. You've got a night game, for one. Is that going to persuade or dissuade people to come because you've got the late night drive home for those that travel? Well, that's going to have an impact. I'm quite certain. But under the lights, the students should be out there having a blast unless they're out there drinking all day and they get hammered but can't go in. I wonder how many tickets go unused by people who tailgate, party too much, and just can't use the damn ticket that night. Because you'll be tailgating all day. So there'll be tickets there that go unused, unfortunately, which is kind of funny. Ross said he saw where Coach Tom Allen has written 106 handwritten letters to offensive line prospect Luke Burgess from New Pal. That's a lot of writing. Tim says he'll be at the game if he wins tickets. Verdell Jones sworn in for the fire department. Oh, I talked to Verdell on Sunday. That's very cool. Where'd you see that? I chatted with Verdell. I was going to try to see about having lunch with him. Was coming back from an Iowa game, but he was up in Chicago. Congratulations. About to get Verdell on. Maybe Friday, or we're packed. We got a packed schedule the rest of this week, but we'll have to get him on here soon. See how he's doing. Congratulations to Verdell, Mr. Senior, or Mr. Service-oriented man. Great person to do that. Looking forward to talking to Bob Kravitz today. What are the Colts going to do? All kinds of questions coming up. College football. Did you enjoy the first weekend of college football? I didn't get to see nearly as many games as I would have liked, of course. All day Saturday with that, but you did. At least you had the Notre Dame game on Sunday. You had the Ole Miss game, and then you got UConn. Etzel, he's gone already. He was going to quit at the end of the season, and they've decided, nah, it's just that bad. You got to go now. And I think, doesn't UConn play Purdue this week?
That is correct.
That is correct.
Was that loud? Because right now, with all the stupid technical issues I'm having, I can't tell how loud anything is.
It wasn't loud. It was just funny how it came on.
That is correct.
Like I'm a robot or something.
But Georgia dealing with their highest COVID spike, after knocking off Clemson. It shows you how COVID can still derail a team. What if the number one team loses their quarterback the week of a game? Now, will the voters hold that against them? Probably not. Probably not. But yeah. But see, the Georgia deal's weird because Kirby Smart says most of those guys are vaccinated. Georgia jumps to number 2. The poll came out. We didn't talk about that yesterday. Indiana, of course, as expected, dropped out. Another exciting thing about football is the return of Mayhem. I don't want to promote an insurance company, but I do like the Mayhem commercials. They're kind of funny. See them come back. But Alabama, of course, remained number 1. Georgia, number 2. So you got the SEC is sitting very, very strong. They also have you might as well call it Oklahoma, soon to be. Number 4, Oklahoma. Number 5, Texas A&M. And that's all for the top 10 for them. But Ohio State sits at number 3. Clemson drops to number 6. Cincinnati, they're at number 7. Indiana's opponent in 2 weeks. Notre Dame, number 8. Iowa State, number 9. That's Iowa's opponent this week. Iowa, number 10. As I predicted, one of the teams, whoever won that game, is going to have a top 10 matchup coming up, and it's going to be Iowa as they take on Iowa State on the road in Ames this week. The Penn State Nittany Lions, number 11. Florida's 13, USC 14, Texas is 15. See, but what's that based on? They haven't done much yet, I don't think. Coastal Carolina 17. Wisconsin's at 18. And no more Big Ten teams. That's unusual. Indiana, of course, dropped out, like I said. But that was very few. Man, how many was that? Like 4 Big Ten teams? Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Wow. Only 4 Big Ten teams in the poll this week. Part of that is because the pollsters are waiting to see if Michigan State is real, and they're waiting to see if Michigan is real. If both of those teams win again this week, I would imagine they will both jump up into the poll. Is Michigan could be better this year, lots better. That could be scary. Indiana's schedule could have just gotten unbelievably difficult. There are teams in the Big Ten that are just better than they were expected to be. Hey, we got to take a break. Bob Kravitz is going to come up next from The Athletic. Looking forward to it. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by the great folks like Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Reach out to Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. You can also give her a call, 317-298-0961. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, Give Cheryl a call. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
Whoops. I don't have my timer pulled up, but it'll just be a second.
I didn't see that.
Here we go. There's Bob.
There's Bob. Here comes Bob. What about Bob?
I need a new liver.
It's golfing season, man.
Oh, man. It was a long weekend. Whew.
Oh, that's right. You had the
My wedding.
The
my,
wedding.
my daughter's wedding, and my wife's family was here all week, and I don't even want to look at a beer.
Oh, man. How did the wedding go?
Fantastic. It was a blast. Everybody had a good time. You know, it rained, unfortunately, but we just moved it inside, and it was beautiful. It really was. It was a great moment for our family.
That is awesome to hear. Oh, man. It's beautiful out. Now you get to focus on
Colts, baby. And Carson Wentz's vaccination status. You know, you can never go wrong there.
it cracks. I cannot wait to talk about this. It cracks me up, and I'm so sick and tired of hearing, well, I think it's a personal decision when they're asked about it. I don't want to hear that BS. Okay.
It's your personal decision to punch me.
But why?
It's my personal decision to sue your ass.
Yes, but I want to know why. When you're in that position, I think that you owe an explanation. You're being paid millions of dollars.
I don't disagree with you at all. We'll get into it for sure. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think they're gutless to not. Yeah, I know. I get all jacked up.
That's the Players Association. They don't want to put their players in that position, and that's their job, is to protect their players. But they're not doing a very good job of protecting them.
Nope.
Otherwise, they'd get them vaccinated.
Here's the story of a man named Brady. I don't know why that song just jumped into my head.
And why I have to listen to that crap.
And Bob, we're not going to have, it's going to sound a little weird coming back. I'm going to have to count Jim down. We're having technical problems on my side today, so you won't hear anything. It'll just be going straight back into the segment.
Sounds good.
All right, Jim. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Wednesday. We have made it halfway in this short week, and what better way to get through it than with Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. Robert, how are you, sir?
I am splendid. How are you?
I am great, but probably not flying as high as you are, coming off of a great weekend. Your daughter was married.
Yes.
Festive occasion, I'm certain.
It was very, very festive. Yes, it was a great day for our family and the groom's family, and we had so many people come in from out of town. And I need a new liver, and I don't ever want to look at a beer again.
Yeah, those weekends can do that to you. Woo. But sure, that was a fun time, amazing, emotional, all those things that go into that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, walking my daughter up the aisle and giving her away, that was a little emotional. You know, I kept the waterworks to a total minimum, actually. But it's beautiful to watch, and it makes life worth living. It was just one of those life-affirming days.
Absolutely. But now, unfortunately, you got to get back to the real world and deal with silly things like Carson Wentz and COVID vaccinations and all of that.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. I'm hoping, I'm going to reach out to some people today. I'm hoping that with the season, literally being this week, starting this Sunday, that maybe some guys finally found religion and decided to go ahead and do it. I don't know if that's actually the case, but boy, I hope some guys finally said, this is a stupid way to live, to live under the 2020 protocols when you don't have to. Makes no sense to me unless you have a really, really good reason. And so far, none of the people, Darius Leonard, Carson Wentz, those folks, none of them have given me anything close to a good reason. I mean, Carson Wentz and Darius are talking like how they need more information. I'm like, what the hell else do you need to know? Do you need Dr. Fauci to walk in your front door and explain what the benefit analysis is, the cost analysis? I mean, my God. So look, just because you're great at throwing a football or catching a football or beating somebody's head in doesn't necessarily make you the most intelligent person.
Yeah, and every time I've seen someone asked about their reasoning, well, I think that's a personal decision, and then they don't give a reason. I'm like, you have to give a freaking reason. You're being paid millions of dollars that is being paid for by the fans, by the people, by everything that's going into that. You have to give a reason. I want to hear why you think that you're above putting all of that in danger. And I think it's cowardly to not, if you're not going to do it, give a reason. It's cowardly not to.
I don't disagree with you. And, that's why I gave Darius Leonard in particular. Look, I disagreed with every word that came out of his mouth. And I thought he was, misguided at best. But at least he said why he's decided not to do it. And he did keep the window open, the door open, whatever, that he may change his mind. That's why I really think we're going to find out that some guys may have, found religion here in the last week with the season so close to us. And the Colts having gone through so many COVID situations already this preseason.
Now the Colts are still dealing with the quarterback situation. What's up next for them there?
Well, I mean, look, he's going to get 5 solid practices in this week, or 4, well, however many, 4, I guess. He has not practiced the full team 11 on 11. I believe he's going to do that this week. Look, this is not optimal. I'm going to make the case in my column today, or that will run tomorrow, is that in 2008, Peyton Manning missed all of preseason. He came out the next year and they started 3-4 and he stunk. If Peyton Manning needs that kind of preseason, how about a brand new quarterback who's trying to resurrect his career with a new team, and the first team offense has barely played together, right? They've barely played together because of COVID and injuries and everything else. So this is not optimal.
It usually isn't, and especially in a season where the Colts need to get off to a good start. So this is the last thing that they need to get to that point. And I'm wondering about the rest of the season because the quarterback situation seems to be just so precarious. It seems like it's like they're walking on toothpicks.
Yeah,
house of cards. It's a house of cards.
Exactly right. And to think that all these star players, I'm not naming all of them because I don't have them all at the top of my head, but Quentin Nelson, who last we checked was unvaccinated, Carson Wentz, Zach Pascal, T.Y. Hilton, Xavier Rhodes, Darius Leonard, Ryan Kelly was not. I mean, these are big time players. It's bad enough. You're going to lose some of those guys to injuries. We've already seen that with T.Y. and his neck. Well, to lose those guys when they don't need to be lost, when it's not necessary, when all they need to do is take a damn shot or two in their arm. And look, I'm not painting with a total broad brush here. I don't know who does what, but there are a lot of guys, some guys, who take Toradol and God knows what kind of painkillers, and all of a sudden they're concerned about a vaccine in their body. These are guys who are taking Toradol for injuries, different sort of pain masking drugs. So you're telling me something that's approved by the FDA now, and has been produced by the finest minds in government, that's suddenly not good enough for you. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, especially for a program or a franchise.
They could be good.
They haven't.
They could be good.
Could have been, and they've had one. I saw one playoff win in 6 years. So they were kind of set up this year to have a decent path to get back to maybe not being great, but to start that process. And this can totally derail that, and is on the process of doing that.
I wrote that back. Maybe it was in July, I guess. That I thought the Colts had a team that could go deep in the playoffs, but they weren't going to because they had such a low vaccination rate. And at that time, we didn't know exactly which players we were talking about. It was only after training camp started that we started to ask guys because they were available to be asked. And we found out that really all the megastars, except for DeForest Buckner is unabashedly vaccinated. But once we found out those guys, you start thinking, you got a big game against Tennessee in week whatever, and you don't have your quarterback. I think he's going to miss a couple of games because of close contacts if he doesn't get his vaccination. And the same with all the other guys. And
I know, and this is just a total guess, but why are these guys not getting any just a guess why they're not getting vaccinated? Because all I have to go on is what the medical experts say and what the numbers say. And I got vaccinated, and it is what it is. I'm not sitting there thinking I know more than these guys and that I'm going to be able to look through this and figure something out that they haven't. So that is not, nor do I have the time to do that. That's why that they have they're in that position. I don't understand these guys that are in the same position I am. They're not going to know any more. They're not going to have that kind of time to study studies and all that. So your only option is to decide to listen to the experts or the scientists, the medical scientists. And I know what they are saying. I don't understand and again, we've already talked about they're not giving a reason, but I want to just grab them and say, dude, you got to give me a reason. I don't want to hear why.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple of things, and it's different for every guy. Look, I think there's hesitancy. I've noticed, and I may be totally wrong here, but a lot of the evangelical Christians in the league, including Kirk Cousins and Carson Wentz and Nick Foles and guys like that, have said no to the vaccine. I don't know if Cole Beasley is or not. I have no idea. But so I think, and I'm going to talk to Frank Reich about this someday, just to chat. But I think there's a religious element to it. There's unquestionably a racial element to it. If you look at the history of black men in particular, and the way they've been treated and mistreated by the healthcare system, there's a distrust there. And look, half our state, or whatever the number is now, I haven't looked lately, but around half our state is not vaccinated. Now, they're not making $22 million to be available every Sunday. But I'm just saying that mindset is not as rare as we would like to think that it is. And
you also, I just wrote something down now. I've already lost it. Oh, yes. The education level. Studies have shown that the higher the education level, the higher the vaccination rate. People are afraid of what they don't know, but they're not willing to find out the truth. There's so much misinformation out there. And the religious aspect, I agree with you 1,000%, because I've been in too many scenarios where a person of faith, that this preacher, pastor, whatever, is espousing his views on something, and those people follow. I'm not one of them. I don't give a crap what he says. I'm going to do my own deal. But I know that is an issue, and it's one I forgot about until you brought that up.
You talked about misinformation. Look, these guys, they're on Facebook, they're on Twitter, If they are predisposed to believing the world is built a certain way, they're going to seek out information that confirms their bias. And and I guess somebody could say the same of me. Oh, well, you watch CNN, so you're a liberal, yada yada. Okay, whatever. Look, all I know is that the pandemic that we're having right now is both kids, because they're not vaccinated yet, and among the unvaccinated. Over 95, maybe 96% of people who've been hospitalized with the COVID are unvaccinated. Yes, you can get it when you're vaccinated. Frank Reich got it. Matt Eberflus got it, the whole bit. But the chances are very, very, very minuscule that you will end up in any kind of peril, that you will end up in any kind of hospital needing intubation.
And that seems to be the point that a lot of people are not getting, because every time I mention or a conversation comes up, the first thing people say is, oh, well, you can still get it. I'm aware of that. What you don't get is a case of death. That is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't prevent you from getting COVID. It generally prevents you from getting death, from getting dead. I mean, that is what I'm talking. I'm like, how is that lost upon people? I'm like, dude, it's simple. But everybody has their own take on it, and it's a deal that people have really it's really polarized a lot of people, which surprises me.
Well,
I guess it shouldn't in this day and age.
It shouldn't in this day and age. This whole country. I'm an old fart, and I've never seen the country, even in the 60s. I've never seen the country divided the way it is now. And hopefully smarter, younger people can get this thing fixed.
We'll see. Indiana football, man, they lost to Iowa over the weekend. Just an ugly, ugly loss. I mean, a lot of people saying that Indiana was overhyped and overrated. That I don't believe. That's not true. They just freaking underperformed. They didn't show up. They did not. Defensively, that one was the one that bothered me most, because there's no excuses. They have better players this year on defense. They had 7 returning starters. They had a long time to prepare for this. They have a new DC. On the offensive side, Michael Penix, he's not ready, man. He looked like a deer in the headlights. I feel sorry for him, but man, oh man, he just looked, it was not fun for him.
Let me ask you, do you think that is a physical thing? This is a kid coming off 2 ACLs? Yeah, it looked that way to me. It looked like, to quote the great Sam Darnold, it looked like he was seeing ghosts out there.
The one, and there was, and I've said this a couple times now, but I remember when he threw that third interception, he got out to his left. He had a ton of wide open field. I'm like, oh man, he's going to have to run here, because you have to. It's wide open field.
He don't like to run.
Well, he ended up pulling up in the last second, forcing a pass to a receiver that was not even looking. It almost shocked the defender, but he ended up getting it gathered in for his third pick. But that moment right there, I'm like, wow, man, he could have slid. He had so much open room, and he just looked so unsure of what to do. And I don't know if that's something he can quickly get past. He's been a slow starter before. But he just looked really out of sync, which is understandable too. He's coming off of another season, his third season-ending injury. But I think the mental aspect is what he's got to get past. Then we've got to look at, if he doesn't, Tom Allen has got a scenario on his hands that I never expected to have, other than injury related. And I think actually that he probably should have replaced Tuttle at the half against Iowa, not just to get him out of the game. His head wasn't there, but it is what it is.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you. Look, that Cincinnati, forget Idaho. I mean, my own private Idaho. Who cares? That game against Cincinnati is going to go a long, long, long way toward determining kind of the trajectory of this season. They lose that one. Now you worry about losing kids. Because the expectations were so sky high, that's when you worry about losing guys. And look, if Penix stinks out the joint again, Jack Tuttle was one of a group of 11 high school senior quarterbacks who I guess he was with Tua, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, this guy came out of high school. He was thought of as one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Went out to Utah, had a terrible experience, and came over here. But this is a guy with some talent, so I would not hesitate at all.
He's a pro-style quarterback.
Right.
He's
absolutely.
And I'll be honest with you, between him and Michael Penix, I think that he's the only one that really has a chance to play in the NFL. He's built to play in the NFL with his size. He's a prototypical type quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he can do that or not, I don't know. But he's the only one of those two.
Yeah, I would not hesitate if I'm getting blown out at halftime against Cincinnati. I would not hesitate, or if Penix is really struggling, I wouldn't hesitate. I throw all my chips in and say, go get him Jack Tuttle, because I think this kid's got a lot of talent, and if Penix just isn't there, he isn't there.
Of course, the Idaho game should not be a problem, but the week after should not. I say that's why I use that very cautiously. The week after that, Cincinnati. I hate looking ahead, but like to do that anyway. Top 10, man, they're number 7 this week.
Right.
They're getting more and more confident. One thing they don't have on their resume, to my knowledge, I haven't looked at it really, but during the season, they don't get to play a lot of teams like a Big Ten team going on the road. A win at a Big Ten school would be the one thing that's missing from their resume. A regular season win, because they're always talked about, hey, y'all don't play anybody. Well, then so Indiana has got to get things turned around in a hurry. Otherwise, they're looking at starting off the season 1-2.
Oh, absolutely.
With the Big Ten schedule coming behind.
With the Big Ten East. Oh, yeah, it gets a lot easier now.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree with you completely. I mean, this Cincinnati game, it's their Super Bowl, shy of a national championship game. With the way the national championship game deal is set up this year, maybe they have a chance. Maybe Cincinnati does have a chance as a group school. So,
and that game is sold out, Bob. It's going to be.
I know
it's sold out.
I assume it's a night game.
No, it's not. Well, as of right now, it's a noon game.
Oh, good for me, because I'm covering.
Are you coming down?
You bet. Absolutely.
Perfect. But yeah, looking forward to that. It'll be an exciting day, but hopefully they can get through that. What's up next for you?
Well, I'm going to head on out to the Colts for the next 2 days, probably right about our unvaccinated quarterback, and see if he's going to have any kind of a season this year. And mostly Colts for the next couple of days.
Make sure you give him a follow at The Athletic, man, and be a subscriber. I am. Appreciate you, brother, as always. Can't wait to see you soon. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Take care of yourself.
You bet. The great Bob Kravitz joining us from The Athletic here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got more coming up. Stay tuned. We're back with it right after this.
3 minutes.
Beautimous.
So I want to notice one of the comments, excuse me, about something you can talk about next. The Big Ten is releasing the basketball schedule today at 2 p.m.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's starting pouring rain here now.
Yep. I mean, I don't want to harp on this stupid thing, but that right there, that is the fact. The people in the freaking hospitals are unvaccinated. Jesus.
No, I don't. Some people, I'm not going to give my opinion on this. I don't want to be.
It doesn't do any good.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't really need another cup of coffee.
Also, I guess this is something that shouldn't go over the air, but Rick said he could come on tomorrow instead. He can't come on today.
Okay. Well, when do we need him?
Well, Dustin, I don't know if you saw the text this morning, said he has to be on not a press conference. He has a big staff meeting with Saturday Tradition at 9:30 tomorrow. So I guess Dustin can only stay for, the first half hour.
Okay. And then we have Matt at 9:20.
Yeah,
So either Rick, you could have Rick at either 10:40
or 10:20.
2020 rather, and I can take him long.
Okay. I'll ask him then.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Got to get this commercial thing wrapped up or fixed though.
I
got to do that. Damn it, I missed the Psalms. I got to do that on the way back in.
That's true. Well, you technically did one earlier, but we can do one again if you want. But I know Bob Kravitz is sponsored by Psalms, so that's kind of. And then I'll switch it over to something else after the fact. Do you want to do one for Aurora? I don't have a comeback for it, but you said Aurora.
Yes.
You can just do one for Aurora. I can pull that up there next.
But I need to do a Psalms when I didn't say it. I want to say it for Bob.
Yeah.
But yes, Aurora. Get Aurora in there.
All right. We can do that one. You can do that one coming out of or going into the next break. You got about 10-ish seconds.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Wednesday from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope you're having an outstanding day. Chamber of Commerce weather out there. Been fun here already. Just wrapped up with Bob Kravitz, had Kyle Neddenriep on earlier. Lots of comments. Let's see, John, the producer, there was a comment that you the Indiana basketball Big Ten portion of the schedule will be released today. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. It's not like it's a big secret of who they're playing. We know that. But who are the double games against and who are they not against? Where are some places that you got that you'll end up having to go and teams that come in that you don't have to play two against? That's usually the thing that you want to look at. See if you've got a friendly schedule or not. Of course, we don't know what is going to be what in the Big Ten yet this year with who's going to be good, but we kind of know that Michigan, Maryland, Purdue, I think Indiana's going to be a top 4 team. We'll have to see after that what Illinois is going to do, how well they're going to be with some loss. We'll see what all that is, but looking forward to that schedule coming out and talking about that as the remainder of the pre-conference schedule, non-conference schedule still being developed, I'd say. Of course, you've got Hoosier Hysteria coming up. What is that, October 3rd, John, the producer?
I believe so. And if you want, I can look up there. They have a list somewhere of all of the non-conference games that have been announced, and it's pretty interesting. There's not a lot of. I feel like during the Tom Crean era and a little bit in the Archie Miller era, there were so many teams that were always sub 300.
There were, and that's why they had to put in their contracts to not play them. They were paid more to not schedule those teams.
So here,
which is ridiculous because. Hey, athletic department, you schedule the damn games.
So right in front of me, I have what's been confirmed, I believe, for the 2021-22 non-conference schedule. I don't think this is all of them. It's a very sizable amount of them, but obviously we know they're starting with Eastern Michigan. You have Northern Illinois from the MAC also coming into town. The Gavitt tip-off games with St. John's at home, Louisiana Lafayette at home, Marshall at home, Jackson State, and then obviously the Big Ten ACC Challenge at Syracuse, Merrimack at home. I'm not sure what conference Merrimack is from. I don't know much about them at all. And then obviously the final iteration of the Crossroads Classic with Notre Dame, Northern Kentucky at home, and UNC Asheville at home.
Powerful non-conference schedule there. Kidding. But
well,
that's
it's not weak. But it's a lot of recognizable names that you might see in the NCAA tournament, I think.
When you say it's not weak, who's the strongest team on that schedule?
Syracuse.
Non-con.
Well, obviously Syracuse is easy. That's the easy one, obviously.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is these aren't like the cupcake games, so to speak. They're not teams like Chicago State, who's going to go 3-27 on the year. They're teams that are going to compete in their conferences, their middle of the road conferences, and they could be one of their conference champions. I'm not saying they're going to get an at-large bid. They're not that good of a team, but they're teams that you could see sneak into the tournament from winning their conference tournament.
It's what Indiana needs right now, scheduling-wise, until they make sure the ship is turned around. But once that happens, they've got to increase the scheduling. Part of ending the Crossroad Classics is exactly that. That's part of why they're getting out of that, to be a part of bigger event games. So that takes a minute. They were actually, it would have been bad for Indiana had they been playing in those marquee events over the last several years, because quite honestly, they sucked, and it would have damaged the brand. It would have simply damaged the brand. And now I think they're going to be on a trajectory upwards, and getting back out in front of a national audience is going to be a better thing for Indiana. That's why it's time for that Kentucky game to return. Where'd he go?
I put it up there. Sorry.
There you go. I want to make sure it was up there. But yeah, they would have been, if they'd been playing Kentucky during that time, it'd be like the Purdue series, where it just got out of control, and it's ridiculous. But now it's time to get things brought back around. I think that they're going to be fine. I think the program is going to continue to head in the right direction, but they're ready to move. Tony says, we can count on one short turnaround, tough draw. His bet, play Michigan at home on Sunday afternoon, evening, then play Purdue on Tuesday.
Now, this same list also has, and I don't know if the Big Ten has already announced if this, it looks like it's up to date, but I think what's releasing today is the actual dates, because right here it's listing the home and aways, the home onlys, and the away onlys as well.
Can you get those up?
Yeah. I can say them. Do you want me to type them in somewhere? I mean, let me go and read them off.
Better if you could post them up on the screen and people could see those, but and then I can read them. But
okay, that's fine. Let me step out and I'll type them in real quick.
That's okay, but we're just looking forward to it. But Indiana is a team that I think this schedule is going to be just what they need. Get their feet wet, continue to bring that cohesion together that apparently was in evidence in the Bahamas. They've had a lot of practice time in between then and now. Unlike the football program, I don't think Indiana basketball is going to come out and lay an egg. I didn't think the football team was either, but they did. I'm still shaking my head over that defensive effort. I'm sorry. I can't get that out of my head. The offensive side, it's more understandable. I mean, it's understandable that Michael Penix was not Michael Penix. I don't get the defense. I don't. Where was the breakdown? Truly. And the thing that Charlton Warren being new and having to learn this system, there seemed to be a lot of slow communication. I think that's something that they'll learn from, hopefully, because if not, it's going to continue to cost them. But that defense should have been able to kind of hit the ground like they left last year, and it wasn't close. Guys look like they kind of were out of position a lot. Stuff they got to get cleaned up. Just
all right.
simple.
So back to that, I've got I've got 3 different banners I'm going to put up for you, and I'm not going to talk about them if you want to talk about them, but I'll go ahead and put these up here for you.
Hold on, I just knocked that up. That was just funny.
The PR guy for the Grim Reaper. And these are the home and away matchups for basketball this year.
Okay, so of course you get Purdue, which is always Maryland, which is probably going to be a decent team. Minnesota, they are devastated. Nebraska, Ohio State, not sure what they're going to have. Penn State? No. Wisconsin's usually solid. So the home and the ways, that
Here's
gives
the,
you 1,
go
2,
ahead.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 14 games. So then they've got another 6 games that are single. 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought we had a 20-game schedule.
No, there's home only and away only. I've got home only right now.
Okay. So home only, you've got Illinois. That's good. Michigan, that's good.
That's good. That's an amazing draw right there.
Man, yeah. Of those 3, you get Illinois and Michigan at home and you don't have to go there. That's gigantic. That is really big for this team. Very big.
Here's the away only.
Okay, you've got to go to Iowa, which would be tough. Michigan State is going to be tough. Northwestern shouldn't be. So if you could go 1 and 2 on that away schedule, 2 and 1 on the home schedule, you're good. I mean, that's it's not a bad draw. That's not a bad draw at all, to be honest with you. I think Indiana's set up schedule-wise as well as they can be set up on the basketball side.
I feel like most of the time fans aren't excited about that aspect of it. Usually they're complaining about having to go to Michigan on the road only or Illinois on the road only and stuff like that.
Well, they don't complain about that this year.
Yeah.
It's the opposite, and that's going to work into Indiana's favor. I really believe that, because you're going to have the return of a crowd. You're going to have the return of an assembly hall crowd. You're going to have the return of an assembly hall crowd with a team that they are really looking forward to seeing, a team that they are excited about seeing, a program they're excited about seeing. There has not been excitement for a minute. Just talk about the Grim Reaper Glenn put up there a minute ago. That's what Archie Miller was. That was like the Grim Reaper was in town for 4 years. That's gone, man. That's been lifted. And this schedule, I like it for Indiana. I got to be honest. Indiana could be I don't want to put expectations on them. They could be a real surprise in the Big Ten, especially with that schedule. We'll see. They got to play the games. That's why they do that. Fully expected Indiana football to be a powerhouse and to challenge Ohio State this year. They still may do that. We don't know. But things are set up on the basketball side to do well. Man, that's a good-looking schedule. Usually you're like, oh, man, you got to do this, you got to do that. I'm looking at that one. And the Big Ten ACC Challenge, that has not been released, has it?
Well, we know Indiana's playing. They're playing Syracuse. I don't know if all of the...
Oh, that's right. That is the Big Ten. I was thinking of the Gavitt games.
No, they have the Gavitt games, too. Indiana's playing St. John's at home.
And where do they go to play Syracuse?
At the Carrier Dome.
Oh, baby. All right. That's a difficult place to play. When is the last time Indiana played in the Carrier Dome? I'm going to have to look that up.
I'm not familiar either. I know they've played Syracuse once in the challenge, but I think it was at Assembly Hall.
I don't recall that either.
Or maybe I'm just thinking of the NCAA tournament. But
well, that would have been in '87. But
I'm talking about 2012 when they lost.
Oh, yeah.
2013. 2013.
Yeah, right. Bad memories. But interesting schedule. I think it's set up well for Indiana, to be honest with you. It's set up well for this coaching staff to come in here, and it's set up well for this team. I like it. Tony says IU football defense gave up 17 points against a solid team. I think it was 20 points, wasn't it? That should be enough to beat most teams you face. When the offense leads to the same amount of points, it kills you. Exactly. Yeah, that game was lost by having no offense whatsoever. It put the defense in bad positions. Now, the defense gave up one run, a horrible run early on, which they could have survived easily. But you turn around with a pick six instantly afterwards, you're down 14-0 in a football game. Let me tell you, that takes a lot of wind out of your sails to be down 14-0 and the game is not 3 minutes old. It's a hard mental thing to go over. I think Scott said, I think he's talking about the last time that Indiana played at the Carrier Dome, 88 or 89. How you got it handed to them. Hope that's not the case this year. Hey, we got to take a break, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. Back with more Indiana Sports Speed Radio right after this from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by the great folks at Aurora Sleep Specialty Clinics. The great guys, Steve Green and Brian Evans, former IU players. Man, this is a very, very unique device. It's an anti-snoring device. It's not a CPAP. It just is an oral insert that is like trays, like the teeth whitening trays. And I've used it and use it, and it's great. So give the guys a call at Aurora. We'll get their information up next time. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
3 minutes. Oh, well, things happen. Don't say that, especially while we're still in the air. I can hear you.
I'm like 20 feet away.
Yeah.
Can you tell I'm 20 feet away?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you're far. Yeah. You got 30 seconds, by the way. $15.
We got a clip bigger place. I can go back and grab my coffee.
Do what? Yeah, I'll come back with a clip. That's fine. Go grab a coffee. You're good. We're back if you want to set it up.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Speed Radio coming to you on this Wednesday. It is Chamber of Commerce weather out there, man. Fall football weather is here. It's just exciting. Earlier, I was talking about the college football playoff. They have a tailgate tour Of course, the college football championships taking place in Indianapolis in January. This weekend or Saturday, they're going to be at the Bloomington North at Bloomington South game. But they've already been to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This will be their 8th. Wow, how can you have been to that many? They must be doubling up because we haven't had that many weeks of football yet. But anyway, so the schedule after that, they're going to Danville at Tri-West next week, as well as Riverton Park at North Vermilion. So they're going to 2 each weekend. The weekend after that, Anderson at Kokomo and South Dearborn at East Central. That's September 24th. And then on October 1st, Wawasee at Warsaw, Columbus East at Indianapolis Bishop Chatard. Then on the October the 8th, Eastern Hancocks at Shenandoah and Marion at Indianapolis Arsenal Tech. And then October 15th for the folks down in Evansville listening on the ref. Evansville Mater Dei at Evansville Rights, and they'll be at Mishawaka Marion at South Bend. So they got 2 different crews because, man, they are at complete opposite ends of the state right there. Wow. So there you go. That's the college football playoff tour that they're going on, which is kind of cool. But this Friday at the Bloomington North at Bloomington South game, I'm looking forward to going to that game to see Kit Klingelhofer's grandson at quarterback for North. And then he's the former SID for Indiana. Then you've got the McCulloughs for Bloomington South. You've got all kinds of storylines there. IU storylines going on at that game. So looking forward to that. I hope you guys had a great weekend. How was your holiday weekend? I hope it was fun and you had a good time, enjoyable. I was working. We were gone all weekend, but it was still enjoyable to get out and do that. Now that the season is here, looking forward to that. Hopefully Indiana can get things turned around on the football side. Don't forget, we've got 4 tickets to give away for the Idaho game. Make sure you're paying attention to the shows this week. You have to listen. And 2 things. All you got to do is listen to the show, but you also have to be following me on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB. We'll put a promo out for that later on. But yeah, that's it. That's only requirements. You don't have to buy anything, but you just have to listen to the show because that's where the question is going to come from. And you need to follow me on Twitter because that's where we're going to post it. So 4 free tickets to the Idaho game. Looking forward to that. Thank you, Jay, for those. Keeping it anonymous on who that donation came from, but we appreciate them very, very much for that. But enjoyed talking to Kyle Kyle Neddenriep earlier today about now the high school season is completely underway, and it's a little 6A is not going to be Center Grove is just a juggernaut monster that no one's going to catch. I'm wondering, is anyone going to catch Cathedral in 5A? We'll have to see how that goes. That's why they play the games. But football, man, once those teams get tough, it's hard to upset them. That's why in college football, you see right now it had been Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State's. Is Clemson getting dropped from that? They lost a big loss to Georgia over the weekend. Yeah, we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about hardly any of the games yet because we were off on Monday, and it kind of forgot about it, to be honest with you. Out of sight, out of mind. But I need to look back over some of those games because there were some great games. But speaking of that, Georgia knocking off Clemson, where does that leave Clemson? They only drop. See, that's another thing. They lose a game, and of course they lost to a great team, but they're not dropping very far. They're going to get the benefit of the doubt. Where did they drop to? They're number 6. So they play in the weak ACC. All they got to do is keep winning. Do they even have a challenging game the rest of the year now since they play? Although Florida State looked decent against Notre Dame. How about that? Florida State looked good against Notre Dame. Could have won that game, but didn't happen for them, but that was a very, very fun game to watch. It was fun. It's fun seeing teams like Florida State be good. Glenn will like that. It was fun seeing that stadium alive and loud. It was, and not having somebody sitting up at the top reading a book like we saw a couple of years ago. But Alabama and Georgia at the top of the poll right now with Ohio State up there. How good is Ohio State? We'll find out. They've got to play Penn State. They've got to play the tough Big Ten schedule. We're going to find out. They go good to me in what they did in the second half against Minnesota. When you make those adjustments and you come out that strong and score 5 touchdowns in a second half, that's strong. And maybe they are as good. We'll find out. But I think I thought the Big Ten was going to be, I still think the Big Ten is a little bit better. Michigan State looks to be vastly improved. They have really used the transfer portal market to fill a lot. I think they had like 9 or 11 guys that transferred in. So they have really, really effectively used that. Michigan looked good. Of course, they played Western Michigan, but they look sound and winning big. See, that's the difference. I don't care that teams won or lost. It's how they looked. What was the eye test? Indiana did not pass any eye test. Forget about losing 36-6. They didn't pass any kind of an eye test. They looked horrible on offense and just off on defense, but it's enough to worry you because you don't have a lot of time. It's here. The season is upon us. And once you get past that Cincinnati game, well, then you get into Big Ten play, and that is not easy for Indiana. I mean, Rutgers, you want to call them a cupcake? I don't even know if they're a cupcake anymore.
They beat Temple 61-14.
There you go.
Just to throw in there.
And Temple was a team that was playing decent football, at least pre-pandemic. So Rutgers has Greg Schiano bringing in some great recruiting classes. I know Maryland has brought in some great recruiting classes. The Big Ten East is a beast, top to bottom. It's becoming, there are no days off, man. So Indiana's got to get it together quickly, because their crossover game, the other crossover game with the Big Ten West, Purdue, of course, the rivalry, but Minnesota looked very good for 3 quarters against a very good Ohio State team. And then Wisconsin, which that's no consequence. Indiana doesn't play them. But Penn State holds on to win on the road. Now, last year, Penn State started on the road with that loss, and it sent them into a tailspin. They lost their first 5 games before winning their last 4. Now they won this game, big game, on the road at Wisconsin. That could give them the opposite effect, send them the opposite direction. But they're a solid football team. So the Big Ten East itself, holy cow, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. IU last played at Syracuse. This is basketball we're talking now. 2013, they lost 69-52. IU is 1-5 all time versus Syracuse. Did win the one that counts because that one win was in New Orleans at the Superdome in 1987 for the national championship. Now, see, that's a funny stat right there. If you looked at that stat on its own and said, yeah, they're 1-5 against that team and left it alone, but that one was for a national championship, I promise you, Syracuse would trade all 5 of those losses or all 5 of those wins for that one loss all day and twice on Sunday. He says the 1988 game was actually at Madison Square Garden.
So does that mean they've never played at the Carrier Dome? Because
I don't know that. I'm wondering if they have. I'm going to have to go back and look through the book, the record book, to the schedule. Go back and just go through the schedule. I'm trying to remember when and why. The only reason they would have is during this in the recent years would be the Big Ten ACC Challenge, and Indiana has generally played either North Carolina, Duke, North Carolina State. Yeah, they've kind of been in the marquee game. I don't recall Syracuse. The 2000, not in the tournament. The 2013 loss was in the NCAA tournament. That was not at Syracuse.
So they also played the following year in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. I'm looking at that right now.
Oh, at the Carrier Dome.
Yes, there we go.
In 2013. Okay. Gotcha. There you go. All right. Jeffrey Bennett says, just what the hell was that last Saturday? It was a crap show. Crap show. Scott says Sherman Douglas hikes ball as a pass against IU in 1988. At Madison Square Garden, I guess. But you guys are getting us all. So there you go. Well, they'll be returning to the Carrier Dome. That is a spacious place. It's a dome. Obviously.
Why doesn't Syracuse have their own giant basketball arena? I know it's cool that they set it up the way that they do
because they have a dome. They already have a dome.
I guess, but it's just
why spend the money?
I guess it's not like yeah, you're right. I don't know. It's just odd. And plus, they can say they have the largest facility in college basketball by doing it.
Well, but the reason is because of the weather. They built it for football.
Yeah, I get the fact. I get the point of it being football, but I'm curious who came up with the idea of we can double this as a basketball arena.
Well, I mean, that's gone on for a long time. And they used to do that at the Hoosier Dome or the RCA Dome. You can do it at Lucas Oil Stadium now. You just drop curtains down.
They do it for the NCAA tournaments and stuff like that, like when they get to the Final Four. But I find it interesting that they've been able to make it work as their actual home facility for basketball.
As long as you get the people, man.
Yeah, and they do. Indiana would be able to do it if they had
what else is there to do in Syracuse, New York, in the winter,
or any time of the year? To be honest,
well, in the wintertime especially. I mean, you go out on a lake and whatnot in the summertime. In the winter, there's not a lot to do up there, man. The snow falls, baby. So, but yeah, it works for them. Let's see.
By the way, we're going to have to wrap up at 55 because I have to account for adding the intro to the edited product. Just want to throw that out there.
No problem.
We got 2 minutes.
How many IU football fans do you expect Saturday night? Jeffrey Bennett asked. It's a good question. I don't know. I know that there was you already had some groundswell of support, which is a good thing. I don't think that people that have tickets are not going to come now. But I think that there are people that, like I said, if live far away and have to drive, it's a 7:30 night game, which is cool. But unless they're in a motorhome or staying the night, they are not, and they live 3 hours from home, they're not going to get home until 2-3 in the morning. So I wonder how I'm wondering how that will affect. Indiana doesn't have night games. Rarely does Indiana have a night game. It's cool, but we'll see. Scott says his guess is they'll start with 45,000, which would be a very, very robust number for Indiana. After halftime, 2,800 at best. Indiana has got to do a better job at keeping students and people in the stands at halftime. There's no doubt about that. But what's happening on the field will also help dictate that. If they're playing well, you don't want it to be a blowout at halftime because people are going to be gone. You don't want to, I don't think you want to be losing at halftime because people are going to be gone. I don't know where that exact Mendoza line is that you want to be to keep people in their seats. Show them a good product in the first half. Show them that things are working and keep them engaged. But I think Indiana's going to have to do some things to start, maybe as a university, to keep people in the stadium. Oh, we got a break, right?
We got to end.
My bad.
We're good.
All right. It's been a fun one. I know you're all tired of listening to me talk today, and you don't have to do that anymore. But we'll be back tomorrow to do it again. Looking forward to it. Dustin Schutte, Chris Denari, Matt Taylor, I think Rick Bozich. Big show tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Big thanks to Cal Neddenriep, Bob Kravitz today, of course, and, of course, John, the producer. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you all, we have nothing to do. Don't forget, we're going to be giving away 4 tickets to the Idaho game, so make sure you're paying attention to the show, but you have to follow me on Twitter, at Jim Coyle, ISB. Go out and have yourselves a great day, and until tomorrow, I will see